What is up everyone, Talon here, and welcome back to the Amped Airsoft channel. Today we are going to be going over some PolarStar products, the UGS and CGS, and let's dig into some of the information. Now looking into it, it's been a couple of years since we've last talked about the Polarstar UGS, and I don't think we've actually talked about the CGS. And since then, Polarstar has come out with even more information about these systems, as well as a lot more people are running them, and as well as an uptick in players being more interested in them. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to talk about some of the aspects and features of both the UGS system and CGS system, because even as someone who is aware and knowledgeable, as well as done several installations on these systems, it can still be a little confusing for me as well. And so I want to spend some time going over some of these things with you and just learn everything up. So let's get into it. What is the UGS and CGS? The UGS is going to stand for the Universal Gas Stock. CGS is going to stand for the CO2 Gas Stock. You're right. So the difference between these is that the universal system can take an air stock, a CO2 stock, versus the CGS is going to take exclusively the CO2 stocks. Now, why would someone want to run a CGS or a UGS? Well, this is going to allow the players to run their air source in conjunction with their airsoft replica body. That means that any type of line or tank system that you're going to be running is going to be null and void because your air system is on your replica, such as this one right here, this replica 417. You can't even tell by looking at it, but this is HPA powered. So there is a level where you can replicate a lot more realism and have a better immersion while still having a really solid performing rifle and performance from an HPA system. Now, the UGS and CGS, just to get this off the bat as soon as possible, are not going to be exclusive to Polarstar engines. You can run them in tandem with other engines, although you do need to be very careful which ones you get or you try to pair these up with. So from Polarstar, these systems are not going to work in conjunction with the Fusion engine. Now, I'm sure someone has MacGyvered or come up with a way for this system to work, albeit it is going to be very awkward because of the Fusion engine. That grip line is going to run through the bottom, and the entire purpose and design of the UGS and CGS is to run your air system in your stock. So the fact that your line needs to come up and into this system right here is going to be a little awkward. Now, I think that if someone were to do a very, very custom setup, it can be done. However, for the standard configuration, not really possible. And Polarstar is also not the only one exclusively to run an air stock system or have an air stock option, although that is going to be the one that we're going to talk with today. Let me know down in the comment section below if you guys are interested in us going over some of the other air stock systems from any of the other brands or even any other custom setups. Now here at the top down, we do have the UGS, which is going to be this combination right here, as well as the CGS, this combination right here. The advantage of the UGS, like I was saying before, is that because it is a little bit more open, you have a lot more freedom as far as different air stocks, as well as the CO2 inserts of the 12 gram or 33 gram sizing that you can add and attach to here, compared to the CGS, which is going to allow just the 12 gram or the 33 gram CO2 to work in conjunction with this. Each one is going to have its pros and cons, and it's going to be up to you to decide what you're kind of looking for or trying to get out of this type of system. Now, my rule of thumb is that if you go with a UGS stock, you have all of the options available to you, compared to if you have the CGS, you are more locked into running a CO2 system. CO2 is going to be a dry gas, it is going to be a very cold type of gas, and there does need to be more maintenance and upkeep on your engine and your system as you continue to play with it. Compared to a normal regulator that you would have attached to an air tank, you can get away with less maintenance over time because it is just air pressure, it is not a dry or cold gas, so you can spend a little bit more time between having to do those maintenance routines. Now the UGS is going to operate at 40 to 130 PSI, although you can disassemble this and you can install the PolarStar high pressure spring that is going to allow the PSI to jump up to 200 PSI. This is the same type of spring that would be utilized on their MR and MRS regulators, so you can run this as a potentially sniper or DMR type of setup, so you can get a lot more air pressure from it. It is going to disassemble very, very similarly. There are also instruction manuals on how to take this apart for that maintenance or that spring installation. And like I was saying before, is relatively easy to install. Now also between the UGS and CGS, you also have the Type 1 and Type 2 threading. Both of these options that I have in front of me are going to be the Type 1 type of threading, which is going to be the same type of spec and size as real steel threads. This is going to be more of the old school buffer tube type of installation. More often than not, you're going to run into the Type 2 type of threading. If it wasn't confusing enough, it is the exact same type of box, although the attachment here, while it looks extremely similar, is going to be slightly different from the Type 1. If I undo this just a little bit. So side by side, the only difference that you can actually see and identify is going to be that the Type 2 is going to have this neck extension, which is going to be installed and, poke through the rear receiver of your AEG, compared to the Type 1, which is going to have a female attachment here for your 6mm hose. On the Type 2, you are going to have an additional fitting that is going to install on your 6mm hose, that when you install this into an AEG, your airline now attaches with this, and that is going to be how that airline is going to attach. Compared to this one, your line is just going to poke into this female attachment here. So between the difference of those two, if you have something that is going to thread into the back for the buffer tube, you're going to use this guy, compared to any type of other AEG like the Tokyo Marui spec where you have the buffer tube screw, is going to take this guy, the Type 2. Let's break down the actual UGS. Now this piece right here is going to be built extremely similar to the Polarstar MR and MRS regulator. Regardless of whether you have the Airstock or the CO2 inserts, this is going to be essentially your regulator to the entire system. You do have your PSI adjustment on the very back here, and then you have your serial number as well as Polarstar logo. We have a video on the installation of the UGS already. You can check that out in some of our other tutorials. And because this one is going to be a 12-gram CO2 UGS stock, it is going to come with the CO2 insert. So it is going to thread into place like so. And then your stock, like your actual stock, is going to slide over the top of this, and this is the same diameter as a normal buffer tube. And then you're going to have your different positions on here that you can slide that back and forth on. I have an example right over here. This is going to be one of our Amped Airsoft customs, which is going to feature a Polarstar UGS. So this is the PTS Griffin armament, which is a Cyma manufactured rifle that we have a Kythera inside of, and we have the UGS with the 33-gram insert. So with the Magpul stock, with a little bit of modification, you can see that we have attached a empty CO2. So this is empty for display purposes, but this is very easy, very small to have on your person, even if you go with a wide camera. It's super easy. Put a couple of these inside of a pocket, inside of a pouch. When you run out of CO2, it's just going to be quick sliding that in, attaching it, and then you are all good to go. And as far as the stock position, because of that 33-gram, if you go all the way in, it is going to stick out just a little bit. So going back 1 or 2 positions, this is where it gets a little weird. Going back 1 position, it does stick out a little bit. However, in our opinion, because of the way that a lot of airsofters hold their stock, that CO2 is going to protrude just over the shoulder. So it's not going to be that big of an issue, especially if you like having a shorter stock. Otherwise, you can go the full entire length of the stock if you like having your stock all the way out. So while some people will say that it is limiting because of that 33 gram, in our opinion, it's not that big of an issue. And say you wanted to run a 12 gram instead, there is going to be an insert on the inside here that you can pull out, and you can insert your 12 gram instead. So that is another example that we have as far as a custom build that we will have up on our website relatively soon. Now I'm going to give you another example for the UGS because it has been a very recent favorite of ours for some of our personal builds. I have here a G3 that I have done just a blanket UGS. Now this one is designed to run the 13 CI tanks. You can also run the 9 CI or the 8 CI tanks that are going to sit on right back here. You do have the larger stock that is going to come with it, the GMP style, that does offer or give a wider cheek rest. So it is going to be a little bit more awkward, but because of the HPA tank, you are going to get more shots out of it compared to a 33 gram or even a 12 gram. Since we're talking about it, it is going to vary depending on the engine as well as how you have it tuned, as well as what HPA tank you're utilizing. But for a 12 gram, you're going to get just a little under 200 shots. With a 33 gram, you should get around 500 shots, and that HPA tank upwards of 1,500, give or take. It all depends on the size of tank that you have. Now, you'll notice that with the UGS, you are going to have this floppy little rail system. This one in particular is going to have several different sizes. You are going to have your air tank system, and then you have your CO2 stock, which is going to have a slightly different curve on the very front here. So if you have a blanket UGS like I got here, if I wanted to run the CO2 inserts instead, such as, let me go down here, where I have a UGS CO2 insert that is going to be for the 12 gram. So looking at the overhead, very simply and easily, you're going to be able to slide that in, insert it. However, that bottom part is not going to line up exactly. You will need to get a replacement stock rail to sit flush with the 12 gram insert that we have here. Another fun little hack is if you do have the 33 gram or the 12 gram CO2 inserts, if you wanted to run a little bit more minimalist of a setup, this is the same type of threading that you can attach your regulator onto. So you have a much smaller remote air system that you can still run your line from. Fun little hack for you guys. But as far as that stock rail, we do have several options. All of those are going to be marked and indicated on the stock rail web page. Polarstar also has those available and does have those marked and indicated as to which ones you need, whether it be the Airstock, 12 gram, or 33 gram, which is still technically the same. Now the UGS, when you attach it, is going to allow for the Airstock specifically a non-SLP tank. So any type of tank that is going to be up to a 900 PSI output pressure is going to work and handle on this piece in particular. You do not need to exclusively get an SLP tank. The fun thing is that with the CO2 inserts, there are going to be tools, or not tools, but there are going to be little bits of technology. It is going to be a siphon and expansion chamber that sits right around here that, because of that CO2 chemical, it is going to be a liquid as you insert it into your CGS or your CO2 insert. This little expansion chamber is going to allow for that liquid to turn into a gaseous state. So that is going to prevent, one, your regulator from blowing out. That is also going to eliminate any type of spikes of pressure. So with that, with other systems that have been on the market, that liquid CO2 can get into the regulator and then into the engine, which is going to create spikes, especially if you tilt the system downward, as if you are in the top of a stairwell aiming downwards. You could get crazy velocities, and that would be very, very unsafe. So Polarstar has taken a step and made sure that this is a very safe system to go with. It feels like I'm jumping around, but there is just a lot of information about these. And then to wrap up the UGS, because of the regulator system, they did introduce a Ziploc tournament lock that is going to prevent players from making any type of adjustments. So this is a very sensitive Allen screw adjustment. So you're gonna go over to the chrono, make your adjustments, get as close to the field limit as you want, and then the ref should take a zip tie and put that zip tie right around this collar that Polarstar has machined into this UGS system. And that is going to make it so that players have a very, very hard time cheating. So keep an eye out for that if you're on the field. Now that is the UGS. Now we're going to talk about the CGS, the CO2 stock. This one is going to be a little bit more limiting because your entire system is going to work and be developed around having either that 12-gram insert or 33-gram insert. And this is very, very oily. So, like I was saying before, this one is another employee rifle. And because of that dry gas, as well as it being a liquid, you do need to clean it and maintain it way more often. So he has done just that. He has maintained this very, very well. Now, this one is going to be machined and is designed to be more of a mil-spec type of buffer tube. You'll notice that not only on our Amped Custom, but as well as this employee one, we are utilizing the Magpul stocks. So this is also designed and works in conjunction with that 33-gram. Make a little bit of noise here. So I'm going to remove this 33-gram and slide it into this guy here. Once again, more of a demonstration utilizing an empty CO2. So when we slide it in, all the way forward, it does protrude a little bit. So you go back one position, that CO2 is going to hang out just a little bit. One more position back, and it's pretty much covered. So that stock is not going to protrude out too far. And if you really wanted to go very, very minimalist, you can go with that 12-gram CO2 insert, which is going to allow for a much smaller insert. Since we're talking about the 12-gram CO2 inserts, I want to point out that there is a difference between the UGS CO2 insert and the CGS CO2 insert. So if you already have one, you cannot get the other. So this is our CGS, and then we have our UGS. Now if I put them side by side, there is going to be a slight size difference. I'm going to put that on the overhead as well. And now that is going to have to do with how the stock is designed and set up. You'll notice that there is going to be the Polarstar CGS CO2. So even if you forget which one you have or you're borrowing from a buddy's on the field, it will show and indicate which one it is. And I forgot that on the inside of this CGS, there is going to be that 33-gram insert. So what you'll need to do is from the overhead, take this piece out, and that is going to allow you to unscrew the insert. So it's going to be a male attachment that is going to allow the 33-gram to puncture and screw in, and it's going to look just like this guy, but a little bit smaller. So that's going to sit right about there so that your screw intersects with these ports right here. So it sticks out not too much farther, right about there. So if you already have the CGS, make sure you are not getting the 12-gram UGS CO2 inserts. The CGS is going to have a very similar system to the UGS, where you do have your regulator option up on the very top here. And then this is going to be your adjustment dial for your pressure up or down. Also still going to be very, very sensitive when you make those adjustments. This is also disassemblable, so you can put that high pressure spring on the inside of it as well for the MR and MRS. So you can get a little bit more pressure out of your CO2. Once again, if you're trying to do that DMR type of setup. And maybe you're someone that likes to have something that is going to be a little bit more minimalist overall, especially when you're looking at something that is going to blend in and look just like a normal buffer tube stock. So you do, once again, get all of the performance and benefits of an HPA system while still getting that system and that replica to look as minimalist as possible. You don't have any of that airline coming out and nothing is complicating it. Or maybe something that is A really good step up for Milsim players is something that is going to have the advantage of that air system, but paired with the mechanical system of a Kythera, you have a system that is not going to run on any type of battery systems. You have something that's going to take air and just run regardless of what weather or game mode you are playing within. So once again, keep an eye out for that. Now, I'm hoping some of that made sense to you guys. If you do have any further questions, reach out to us via email at sales@ampedairsoft.com. Go down in the comment section below, see if we can answer any questions that we have for you guys, as well as let me know what system you might be interested in or what you would like us to tackle next for you guys. So, you guys take care, stay safe, stay positive, and I'll see you guys in the next one.